Hello YouTubers, this is going to be a very quick video to show you how I cure salmon eggs to use as roe to fish steelhead, coho, or whatever else I feel like. In the past I used to save my seasoning salt to use that as the container to do my mix. My mix would comprise of jello for different coloring, and it also has sugar to make it sweet when the fish nibbles on it. Hopefully they'll take it better. And I'd use some krill powder and of course a lot of sea salt. Well, nowadays there's a lot of other formulas you can use, and in particular today I'll be using the Pautzke Balls O Fire to do this. So let's get to it. Alright, before we begin, there's a few things I need to tell you guys about. Normally I do this outside because it can get very messy, but tonight we're going to do it indoor so I can make this video a little more viewable for you with good light. What you want to do is make sure you cover your surface area. I'm using a garbage bag on top of the glass table. You can use newspaper, whatever it may be. Just make sure you cover more area than what you need. The other thing you want to do is make sure you have some latex gloves or whatever it may be. Canadian Tire, Home Depot, whatever is nearby. You can get them very cheap. You need a good pair of scissors because you'll need to snip through some of the eggs to make the little batches that you want. And if you have jewelry like a wedding band, as I do, make sure you take it off because there's a good chance you might be staining it. So to make really good roe, you obviously need to have really good salmon eggs. So to make sure you have good salmon eggs, make sure you always carry a small bag with you if you're the type of person who likes to gut and clean the fish at the river. You want to make sure your eggs do not touch a lot of water, or should I say doesn't get a lot of water, because the more it absorbs, the more you're going to have to allow this formula to draw more of the water out before it soaks back in the color and the flavoring. In this case it's going to be a lot of krill. So make sure you get good eggs. That's the key point. Alright, next thing we're going to do, it's right in this bag. Some people might clean it out a lot. I don't. Pop it down. Alright, so again, what makes good roe will be good eggs. So you want to make sure you do this within the 24 hours to 36 hours. Again, that's what I've been told. If you think it's different or you know it's better, please let me know. These eggs look pretty good. Now, earlier I mentioned that you need a scissor. In this case, I don't think I'll need it. And no, I won't need it. Okay, so the reason why I told you guys to get a scissor is if you do have more eggs or bigger fish, let's say a chum, what's going to happen is these guys very well could have been together or kind of wrapped up, kind of like a tortilla wrap or something like that. And what you'll need to do is you'll need to find the layer of the eggs and snip through it to unfold it. So picture it like this, where it's as a whole, and it might even overlap each other. So you want to find an opening where you can snip it open till you can open it up so it's just one layer of eggs. Okay, in my case I don't need to do that. So we're going to continue on to using the formula, and again I'm using the Pautzke Balls O Fire. Let's see if we can get that in focus for you guys. And I'm using orange because I will be using this to fish for coho, and I'm fishing it right here in the tidal river of the Fraser River, sorry, in the tidal portion, and it's pretty murky. So what you want to do is you want to use it very generously, and you want to just put it right across, sprinkle it all around. Alright, now normally what I do is I put it on the back side before I put down the eggs, but in this case it's alright. It's a very small piece. It's a small pink, but it gave me eggs, so I'm happy. Alright, so the instructions tell you to put it in an airtight jar, but I know some folks who may do this right on the river system, and I may do that if I'm up by Squamish or whatever it may be. Be very generous. So rather than use a jar, I use a Ziploc bag. Okay, so here we go. Cleanly, and folks, remember, that's why I told you make sure you cover more, and I'm using the paper towel so it's less clean up. I'm still gonna sprinkle in, oops, sorry about that, going to sprinkle in a little bit more, okay? And then now what you want to do is gently roll it. To make sure it's all covered. And bring this closer to the camera now so you can see. It's nice and bright and orange. So what's going to happen is you're going to let this sit. The instructions tells you to leave it for about an hour, and I will do that at room temperature. And it's going to start developing water in here, or what we would call as juice, because it's going to extract all the water out from the eggs. And what you want to make sure you do is do not pour out that juice, because that juice later on will be reabsorbed by the eggs to get the flavor and the coloring. And it also rubberizes the eggs a little bit more, so it's easier for you to handle. It does tell you to let it sit in the fridge for about 3 days. Now, it's up to you how long you really want to do that. The longer you do it, the drier it can get, the more rubbery it can get. And there's also different ways of storing this. You can leave it more wet, meaning you can use it right away within that 3 days, or you can strain it, then freeze it, and some people will vacuum seal it. I'll probably be using this in about a month's time, so I will probably be freezing it. And that's about it, folks. Now, I know some people might ask, well, how do I use this as single eggs, because I want to use it on a hook and just drift it down with my center pin or whatever you're using. What you can do is, after you cure it, you can just flash boil it for about 30-40 seconds, and it will become a lot harder. And then that way you can just put the egg directly onto the hook, like thread it right through the hook, and then you're good to go. So it's that simple, folks. It's that simple, and that's just awesome. And this is again what I'm using. There's different colors, pink, purple, whatever it may be. That reminds me, if you are looking at this tutorial and you remember me saying how I used to use gel and so on, I used to use the Jello blackberry currant, because that ends up being a dark black and purple color. And for steelhead in the clear water up by Squamish, I find that that works quite well. Again, I'm going to be using this in the Fraser River in the tidal portion, so I want maximum brightness, orange, and smell. So this is loaded with the secret formula from Pautzke, and it's krill. Alright, so this is after an hour of the formula working on the eggs. And as you can see, it's nice and bright. It's got its color, definitely smells good. And there's the solution, or should I say the juice. And again, you do not want to pour that out. You want to leave it in there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it in the fridge. It's ready to use, but I'm going to put it in the fridge for 3 days, because I'm going to end up freezing this to use in about a month's time. So if you have any questions, please leave a comment below, and I'll do my best to answer it. Tight lines.